Hey guys, welcome to my channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Issei fall in love with Graffia Lucifugus part 1. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video and also share this video to your friends and also watch part 1. Let's start this video. I've encased my heart in ice to forget the pain I went through those days, Graffia continued softly, before shaking her head. What I mean to say is, don't make the same mistake as I made. You are still young, you will find love again, don't stare blindly on Issei. Issei was quietly working over the story in his mind, till he spoke a few minutes later. Why didn't you rebel after he did this? Issei asked. Because I would be hunted and killed like any other stray devil, Graffia solemnly answered. You would still have had your revenge, Issei insisted quite firmly. I'm afraid that it isn't as simple in my case, Graffia calmly explained. You see, my family has always served those carrying the Lucifer name. My ancestors would disgrace me if I would harm my master, not like they haven't already disgraced me after abandoning the original male Lucifer, she continued in her thoughts. Graffia was about to walk away, confident that her story convinced him to fight, but stopped when she heard his voice again. I was killed by my first girlfriend, Issei suddenly said. I truly believed she loved me, but instead she punctured my heart till Rias rudely put it back together. Issei's voice was filled with unshed emotions as he continued, I'm afraid of growing closer to another girl and see the same thing happen over and over again, so I act like a pervert without equal, knowing that no girl will wish to come near me. Graffia was calmly listening to Issei opening up to her, and she could feel the same emotions in his voice as she held in her heart. After careful deliberation, she walked towards Issei and stretched out her arms like a mother would do. Issei however saw her movement not like that. No, he silently whispered as he tried to step back, but Graffia wouldn't have any of it and pulled him close into her warm embrace. Underneath her ice-cold appearance, there was a certain caring warmth she provided him with. Issei, who wasn't used to this, began to shake in her arms, expecting a vicious strike or remark at any moment. As he closed his eyes in preparation, he could feel dark emotions well up in his heart and mind. Before a whisper he once heard was whispered like a tease in his ears. Will you die for me? He was ready to push Graffia away at that moment, but when he opened his eyes he didn't find himself in his room. There was only darkness around him and a figure he never wanted to see again. Feathered wings as black as the abyss spread on the back of the girl that started everything. Her evil grin and dark glare were still fresh in his mind, her sweet but dark voice still lingered in his ears. Words that he once longed to hear from her were now nothing but poison to his mind. Issei-kun, did you really think that death would stop me from killing you? Rainier said with an evil glint in her eyes as she flew up high and materialized a spear of light in her hand. Issei's body was frozen to the ground, petrified as his eyes could only focus on the familiar spear of light that ended his life once before. With a dark glare, she hurled a javelin of light towards his heart, but when it was about to penetrate his shivering form it disintegrated into particles of light. The shivering Issei, who expected his life to end in fear, suddenly heard a loud thud not far in front of him. What do you think you're doing, you brat? He heard Rainier shout angrily. When Issei tentatively opened his eyes, he too was surprised to see Rainier flat on the ground with frozen wings. Issei was about to deny his involvement till a massive demonic aura behind him made its presence known. I did that, a silent but distinctive female voice said. Let me go, you bass, Rainier began to shout, till her eyes grew fearful from the appearance of the new figure. A woman with glowing silver eyes, silver hair and an angered expression on her face, how appropriate for her nickname to be the Silver Queen of Annihilation. I will not allow you to torment him any longer, fallen angel, perish, Graffia said as her eyes flashed silver once more. Forever trapped in a fearful expression, Rainier was instantly frozen with the light still lingering in her eyes to remain there till the end of time, as a reminder of her own mistakes. It's time to wake up now, Issei-sama, Graffia said as she powered down, but Issei didn't do anything. He was completely captivated by her, how she saved him from his own darkness. Wake up, Issei-sama, Graffia whispered once more when she embraced him in the darkness. Thank you, he silently whispered and found himself back in his room, still in the arms of the beautiful maid. I'm still alive, Issei thought and looked in her silver eyes before he broke down. He gripped her shoulders tight and pressed his face into her chest. Though she was slightly surprised at his forwardness, Graffia said nothing and allowed him to release his grief. It's all right, Issei-sama, she continued calmly as she pet the sobbing Issei, if you release your emotions now you will feel much better. Internally Issei was struggling with what was happening as the woman he had buried his face in was breaking through all his mental barriers he held up for so long. What are you doing? What do you want from me? Issei asked as he lifted his face up to look into her eyes. Her eyes showed a small flash of surprise before they showed pain and loneliness and closed them. I always told myself that if I met someone that went through the same pain and suffering I went through, I would do my best to support him or her, Graffia said honestly. In Issei's delirious mind, something greater than fear overwhelmed him and much to his own surprise he pulled her in closer. Thank you Graffia-san, he said full with emotion. Graffia, though touched by his heartfelt thanks, kept her emotionless look on her face. "Ne, Graffia-san," Issei asked. "What is it, Issei-sama?" she calmly replied before she was utterly surprised by his question. "Was there no one you could confide in with your problems?" he asked. Graffia's breath began to grow erratically and her eyes widened in fear as she was reminded of her own past. "Lucifuge dog, the traitor to both factions," the crowd yelled as they threw rotten fruit at her. "Stop it," she quietly muttered. "Ah!" Graffia shouted when the whip broke the skin on her back again, which was loudly cheered on by the crowd and the one she once loved. Issei looked up and saw Graffia's eyes dilute in fear. He began to shake her whilst yelling her name. "You must die to be reborn again, to pay for what you have done," the man she loved said as he created a large ball of black and red. "Be prepared, my queen." "Graffia-san," Issei shouted and was able to wake her up. She said as she lost all feeling in her body. "I wonder how long it has been," Graffia thought a few moments later when she was able to stand on her 2 feet again. "No, there was no one," she replied to Issei's question a minute after. "Are you all right now, Graffia-san?" Issei worriedly replied. "Yes, I just reminded myself that some beings are inherently evil," she tiredly replied. Issei could only silently agree with her comment and held her. "You are lucky, Issei-sama, your friends all care for you, even Rias, though right now, she cares more about not marrying Razor-sama than your feelings," Graffia said with a small amount of jealousy in her voice. "Aren't there any people that have genuine feelings for you?" Issei asked curiously. "I'm afraid it's a bit more complicated," Graffia replied with a soft voice. "Many tried to gain my affection after the war, even my traitorous master. All of them were powerful and influential pure-blooded devils, but when I wouldn't willingly give them my heart they stopped approaching me. I wouldn't stop, I would never stop," Issei suddenly said with a surprising amount of confidence. "Issei-sama," Graffia asked with confusion in her voice. "How do I reach you? How can I take you away from where you are?" Issei asked completely serious. Even though Graffia was impressed and surprised at his resolve, her heart did not swoon or beat louder at the possible empty promise. "You intend to fight Mao Sirex for my hand?" Graffia asked to be certain and saw him nod fearlessly. After carefully deliberating certain facts about the boy, she came to an answer. "All right, Issei-san, is it all right for me to call you that?" Graffia asked and received a nod. "In the summer vacation, Aju-sama is expected to return to the Grimoire Castle. You will have to visit the old library in Lucifard, there you will find your answer." Issei's eyes burned with motivation when he let go of her. "Are you all right now, Issei-san?" Graffia asked as she prepared a magic circle to return back to Castle Grimoire, far later than expected. "I feel much better," Issei said with a true smile. His heart felt much lighter. Graffia gave him a curt smile and flared her power to teleport away. "One more thing, Issei-san," she said, "if you don't win the match, you won't ever be able to reach me," and flashed away. Issei was left alone in my room. There was no need to think about anything because his heart felt so light. "Now, the only thing left is," Issei said and closed his eyes, ready to talk to his heart. "Come out if you can hear me, Diedrich, I need to talk to you, come out," he shouted. Shortly after Issei called out to him, a creepy laugh echoed within him. "You finally found your resolve, haven't you, partner?" the dragon said as he had followed their conversation. "I have," Issei said with conviction, "but I need more power." "Ha ha ha, then I've got something for you," the dragon replied and gave Issei a solution. Issei teleported to an unfamiliar place with the magic circle Graffia-san gave him. "I thought that I couldn't transport because I lack in demonic power, however it seems like it worked, possibly because this magic circle may be special," he thought as the symbol disappeared. He looked around the place where he appeared in. It was a very spacious corridor and on the wall were rows of candles that lined up till the end of the building. "I don't have any time to waste here," Issei said as he walked towards the direction where he could hear noises. He was quickly met by a gigantic door that was opened. There were huge engravings on the door with some kind of mystical beasts. When he looked inside from the door, there were lots of devils who were dressed up and were having a good time. These kinds of things are similar to the high society parties of humans. Well, I had never been in one though, Issei imagined. Issei looked at the devils slowly to try and find some familiar faces. Suddenly a crimson color appeared in his vision. A woman who had her crimson hair tied up, she was wearing a red dress and matching shoes. Issei knew who it was with a single glance. Of course, that's because she was the person he was there for. "Baku-u!" Issei loudly shouted through the large room. He had called out to Rias so loud that it echoed throughout the hall, gathering the attention of the devils around him. Rias also looked towards him. That moment, Issei didn't miss the glimpse of his Baku, who opened her eyes wide and shed a single drop of tear. She slowly moved her lips saying, "Eyes, to all the high-class devils here, and Baku's brother, Mao-sama, my name is Hudo Issei from Quo Academy. I have arrived to take back Baku, Rias Grimoire-sama," Issei shouted to everyone in the hall. The hall becomes even noisier. Without caring about the two families, Issei walked towards Rias and Razor. "Hey, you, do you know where this?" A person who seemed to be a guard came to stop him. However, there are those who came in to stop the guards as well. "Eyes-kun, leave this to us," a male voice shouted. It's Kiba, who was wearing a white tuxedo. "You are late," a small build girl who is wearing a dress said. "Ara ara, so you finally showed up," Akeno-san, who was wearing an expensive-looking kimono, said as well. "All of them were stopping those who are trying to get in my way." "Thank you," Issei said quietly and went towards Razor confidently. "Baku, no, Rias Gremory-sama belongs to us." Razor made a face that I can't explain with words. "What's the meaning of this, Razor? Hey, Lady Rias, what's the meaning of this?" Relatives and authorized people were making unsettled faces and they were panicking. "It's an event that I organized." That moment, a man with crimson hair who was sitting at the far back walks towards us. It's the person who was drawn in the portrait at the corridor. He seemed to resemble Baku, Issei thought. "Oni-sama," Baku called this man. "Then this person is Mao Sirex Lucifer," Issei realized as anger spread through his body. "I wanted to see the power of the dragon, so I asked Graffia to bring him," Sirex explained to the two families. "Sirex-sama, you can't do something irresponsible like this," a panicking middle-aged man said. However, he quieted down when Issei gave him a dirty look. "It should be fine. The rating game from last time was very entertaining, but it was a bit disadvantage for my little sister who had no game experience to face off against Razor-kun, who is a prodigy from the House of Phoenix." "So Sirex-sama, you are saying that the last game wasn't fair?" No, not at all. If a Mao such as myself says such thing, then I would be making the old nobles look bad. The connection between the high-class devils is important after all," Mao-sama answered with a smile. From the way he spoke, he was aiding his sister. "Then, Sirex, what do you want to do about it?" a middle-aged man with crimson hair asked him. "Father, I want to make my cute little sister's engagement party into a flashy one. Dragon vs Phoenix, don't you think it's the ultimate event, to stir up the party by having a battle between legendary creatures? There aren't any entertainment which can surpass this." Everyone in the hall becomes silent with Mao-sama's words. Sirex-sama then looked at Issei. "Dragon User-kun, you have our permission. Razor, can you show your power once more right in front of Rias and I?" Hearing Mao-sama's wish, Razor made a fearless smile. "Very well, there is no way I can decline if Sirex-sama asks me. This Razor will show his last performance before getting married." Issei snorted at Razor's proclamation in front of both families. "Don't delude yourself, useless Yakitori," Issei said, causing people to gasp in the crowd. "I will win here and send you home. I will win to prove myself and my cause." Issei smiled so brightly that even the apathetic Razor was curious about his cause. "Looks like he is eager to do this," a certain silver-haired maid thought in the back of the crowd. "The only thing left for me is to win," Issei shouted internally and pumped his fist in the air to raise his fighting spirit. Mao-sama then approached Issei and asked, "Dragon User-kun, what prize do you want when you win the match?" "Sirex-sama, what are you saying?" The relatives started criticizing at Sirex-sama's offer. "He's a devil, so we need to give him something fitting for it. Since we are asking him to do something for us, now then, I can give you anything, a peerage, or the most beautiful woman," Mao-sama asked him while ignoring the voices of others around him. "Thank you, Mao-sama, I have already decided on what I will wish for and what I will fight for," Issei replied with a short bow. "I wish for you to give me Rias Gremory-sama back." Mao-sama made a very happy face when Issei answered him without any pause. "Very well, if you win, you may take Rias with you." "Thank you very much," Issei said and bowed his head to Mao-sama, who went back to the end of the hall. The center of the hall was cleared in a hurry. The devils in the hall were standing around the space, watching with keen eyes. The Orc members were sitting in the same place as Rias, and sitting next to her was Mao-sama. On the other hand, at the House of Phoenix side, their relatives, their servants, and Razor's sister were sitting there. Razor and Issei were confronting each other at the center of the created space. "Please start," Mao-sama shouted. "Baku, I will finish it in 10 seconds," Issei shouted confidently. "Eyes," Rias made a doubtful face. "It's all right, I will show it to you now," he returned. "You sure talk big for saying that you will finish it in 10 seconds, then I will finish you off in 5 seconds. It won't be like last time, Rias pawn," Razor shouted cockily. "Baku, please allow me to use promotion here." "Baku nods at my request. Promotion, queen," Issei shouted. Issei promoted to the ultimate piece and felt his power rise. "I can feel the power that is coming from within me. The start of the battle will be the climax. Here's the next one. Let's go, Red Dragon Emperor, let's go, my sacred gear." "I don't have a talent for swords like Kiba. I'm not a genius like Akeno-san at using demonic power. I don't have a crazy strength like Kaneko-chan, nor do I have a healing power like Asia. Even still, I will become the strongest for my future wife," Issei declared. I promise you, Graffia-san," Issei shouted in his mind. "For you, I will even beat God. With this boosted gear, my only weapon, I will make sure that I will protect you." Welsh Dragon Over Booster. The jewel in the gauntlet released a red light, which shined throughout the entire hall. A deep crimson color aura covered him. "This power, your power is flowing into me," Issei said out loud. "Yeah, use it, however, only for 10 seconds, your body can't endure more than that," Diedrich lied convincingly. "I know that, Diedrich, I will settle it in 10 seconds. We can take him down," roared Diedrich filled with bloodlust. Issei leapt forward while emitting a red aura. His body was equipped with a red armor, a plate armor that had the motif of a dragon. An armor, you made the power of Tsukiyute shape into a physical form, Razor commented in fear. This is the power of the Emperor of Dragons, the Balance Breaker, boosted gear scale male. If you want to stop me, go and ask Mao-sama and give up. The scale male's ability is to release a destructive power for 10 seconds. Once released, Issei would be invincible for 10 seconds. However, there is a big risk. 10 seconds after unleashing this ability, Issei won't be able to use his sacred gear for 3 days. So it's a sink or swim invincible mode. I will defeat you, Razor Phoenix, Issei declared and fought for all he was worth. Flash, the clash between two incredible powers, a flash created from the collision blinded everyone's eyes. Issei could feel the sensation of the armor he was wearing disappear, the same feeling you have when you take your raincoat off when you get home on a rainy day. It's similar to that. At the same time, he could feel intense heat surrounding his body and flashed back several feet when it got unbearable. When Issei got out of the flames, he realized that the 10 seconds were over and the armor was gone. Hey Dragon Emperor, what's the meaning of this? Issei shouted. It hasn't been 10 seconds yet, why has the armor disappeared? Wait, are you telling me the price I paid only let me use it this much? No, the price you paid to attain my power was enough, but your basic stats are too low to control my powers, you lack training, Diedrich swiftly lied. Ah, damn it, I don't need things like that now, he shouted back to the dragon. Give me the armor one more time. What do I have to pay this time? My eyes, my legs, I will give you anything. Using the second armor in this short time is impossible for you now, Diedrich replied calmly. Just a little more, Diedrich anticipated. Is that because I am weak? Fuck, why don't things go my way at crucial times? Issei cursed out loud and thought that all was lost. Grip, Issei was grabbed strongly by his collar by Razor, who began to choke the life out of him. He put a disgusting smirk on his face when and applied more pressure to Issei's throat, which caused his face to turn blue. It's painful, Issei thought. I praise you for doing this well for a pawn, you really did well. To be honest, I didn't expect you to do this well. The power of the dragon user, I was able to taste that with my own body. If you had a year, no 6 months for you to get used to your dragon's power, I would have lost, Razor said with a small flash of respect in his voice. As Issei looked at Razor, he could see that his clothes and body were worn. Even for Razor, who had a very high regeneration ability, the rate to heal the damage from draconic attacks was taking long. There's nothing you should feel ashamed about. I will train you after I become Riasgroom. You will become a strong devil, Razor declared. Shut up, I won't low, Issei began to shout, but Razor kept adding more pressure on his throat. Just a bit more, Diedrich thought as he wished to be alive to rip this pity bird apart. Now, it's about time I put you to sleep. You will lose consciousness for a short while. By the time you wake up, the ceremony would have finished safely. You don't want to suffer any more than this, right? I'm not a sadist, so I will end this right away. Razor put on a face that he had confirmed his victory. I'm going to lose? No, that will be unforgivable, Issei shouted internally as he grabbed onto Razor's hands on his throat. Issei's consciousness slowly began to fade away as he looked around the crowd. The majority of the devils were cheering Razor on while a few other tried to look away. Slowly but surely the lack of air began to weigh down on him and began to feel lightheaded. Is this how it ends? Is my word worth this little? He thought to himself, feeling just as powerless as when he was killed by Rainier. Diedrich roared to reach Issei's mind, but he was unheard as well. Darkness slowly closed in on him and the crowd left his peripheral vision. Only two liquid silver eyes remained focused on him. Didn't you say that you would never stop? Issei saw her mouth to him. I did, he said to a confused Razor. Show me. In that moment, everything became clear to him, like it was the first time that he could see, taste and smell. Foreign power filled his veins as he felt the pressure from Razor's hand lessen by the second. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, relishing in the fact that this power would be enough to keep his promise. Awaken, Issei, Diedrich shouted in Issei's heart. I will, Issei roared and his eyes flashed open in a dazzling green. You did it, Diedrich roared happily. The Red Dragon Emperor has returned. His new feelings opened a door to the vast energy of Diedrich. Reddish-black energy suddenly surrounded Issei's body, which caused Razor's hand to burn severely before it disappeared just as fast. Ah, you low-class peas, Razor shouted but was harshly punched in the face, skidding him back several feet. Sirex-sama was very surprised at what he felt and saw, though he said nothing. Ajuka, you better have an explanation for this, he thought before he focused on the fight again. Calm down partner, I don't know how but you reached it, Diedrich proudly said as he tried to calm Issei down. Reached what? Issei said as he tried to calm down and catch his breath again. Balance breaker, didn't you just say that I couldn't use it anymore? Issei replied tensely as Razor looked extremely mad. I had to force the scale mail, from now on, you are able to use it always, Diedrich said. Issei processed the information and took a deep breath before he summoned his boosted gear. Let's do this everyone. An aura that far surpassed his previous one washed over the crowd. Some could even see the faint shimmers of a large western dragon looming over Issei. Watch my resolve, Issei roared to the sky as the face of Graffia came to mind. Welsh Dragon Balance Breaker, the plated armor returned on Issei's broken body. It hurts, Issei thought as he was solely moving on adrenaline. Partner, we use the scale mail too much already. If you don't win quickly your body will sustain permanent damage. Diedrich answered my thoughts. If I can't handle a little pain then I don't deserve her, Issei answered. Ready yourself, you damn yakitori bastard, Issei roared angrily to Razor. He took a small object out of his pocket. When Issei aimed it at Razor, he started to panic and shouted, hold on, do you even know what you are doing? This engagement is important and necessary for the future of devils, it's not something a devil brat like you can butt into. I don't know anything complicated, but there's something I want to see more of, and you're standing in the way of that, Issei shouted and emptied the liquid from the small object into the boosted gear. The boosted gear started to shimmer and shine fluorescently. I win, Issei shouted and punched Razor in his stomach. Bang, Issei's fist that had the effects of the holy water nailed deeply and accurately into his stomach. Gah! Razor took a few steps backwards while coughing blood. For me to lose like this, he said and fell on the ground. He didn't stand up after that. Issei glanced at Razor who doesn't seem to show any movements and walked towards Rias. Then someone got in his way, it's Razor's sister. She glared at Issei silently and seemed like she wanted to complain. Issei pointed his boosted gear towards her and said, if you have a complaint, then come to me, I will take you on any time, and went past Razor's sister till he stood in front of Rias. Baku, let's go home, eyes. He then looked at the person next to Rias, a man resembling Rias quite a lot. I'm very sorry for my actions, but I will be taking Baku with me. Baku's father didn't say anything and closed his eyes. Mao-sama, who was supposed to be sitting next to him, wasn't there anymore. I wanted to thank him and I wanted to hurt him. I will, the next time I see him, Issei promised himself as he looked around the hall to find Graffia. I guess Graffia-san left as well, Issei dejectedly thought, at least I won. Though, when he turned around, Issei saw that Graffia was still there waiting. She appeared to have a very small smile on her face before she quickly disappeared in a small red flash. Let's go home, Baku, Issei said and took her hand. He walked outside onto the balcony and took out the magic circle that Graffia gave him. I think she told me to use the magic circle on the other side of the teleporting one after I retrieve Baku, Issei mumbled and turned the paper around. When he turned the paper around, there was a glow. Shiiine, what appeared from the magic circle was a four-legged beast with wings that I can't even tell whether it's a lion or an eagle. Griffin, someone in the hall said, so this guy is called a griffin, Issei thought, though he was slightly intimidated by the large creature. Is Graffia-san telling me to escape from here by writing this? He mumbled quietly and sat on top of it together with Rias. When they were up in the sky, Issei took out the paper again as he felt it slightly chilling his pocket. He looked at it and saw that something else became visible on the paper. It was a simple but powerful sentence. Aim for the top if you wish to reach me, Issei read before the paper dematerialized in thousands of snowflakes. From down on the ground, Graffia could spot Issei's bright smile and internally was glad that he won. Anything on your mind, Graffia? It's been a long time since you've looked this happy, Sirex said from beside her, glad as well as his beloved sister was saved from the phoenix. Nothing, Mao-sama, she replied and returned back to her stoic look and behavior before excusing herself to return to her duties. On top of the flying griffin, Rias was trying to thank her only pawn for saving her. Eyes, is there anything you want for saving me? She asked with lidded eyes. Issei thought as he closed his eyes, aim for the top if you wish to reach me. There is something I want, he said quietly, I want more training. Rias, who expected something more along the lines of her virginity, didn't expect her favorite pawn to say that. Don't you want something else, like my virginity or my first kiss? She hopefully asked. No, Baku, Issei answered with a shake of his head, I need to get stronger to reach someone, to be worthy of that person. I guess so, Rias dejectedly answered, let's go home, and remained silent till they returned to the Orc. Peef, the chapter is finally finished, so let me know what you think. I usually don't ask this but follow, favorite and most importantly review, I'm really dying to know what you think. There was a lot of canon, very similar to the lane but it had to. In the future it will all be OC stuff like I usually write. Did you guys like the scenes with Graffia? Did it touch your heart? Let me know. I'm out, thanks for watching guys, part 2 is over. If you like the video please do like, share, comment and subscribe.